Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And it's Tuesday night in the NBA. We've got a 6-game slate here for you guys. In this one, we're taking a look at my New York Knicks. They are in Orlando taking on the Magic. I think we like points in that one, but also mostly like the Knicks. Also got another game video up for you guys today. The Hawks looking to take advantage of the sliding Pellies and our player props. So make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along. We're also going to have a special deadline episode for you guys, looking at some futures markets after this trade deadline is over, so we can get some of those updated numbers out to you guys of what we're looking at. Also want you to head to thelines.com. You can check out all of our great written content up there and use that odds finder tool that we have. Make sure you're getting all of the best juice back you can on all these bets you're making in the NBA this season. Nate, let's go ahead and jump into our 6-game slate here and then talk Magic and Knicks.
Yeah, and it opens just Knicks -2, now -1.5 with a 225 total. You may like points. I mean, I'm kind of on the fence on that, but we'll talk about it more. Hawks are +1.5 in NOLA. The Pelicans were sliding, but they won back-to-back over the weekend. Suns with Devin Booker back are -5.5 at Cam Thomas's Brooklyn Nets. Still waiting on that boys' props because you got to hit those right now. Bulls on a back-to-back are +8 in Memphis. The Wolves are +9 at Denver. And then the Thunder +7, down to 6.5 now at the Lakers. LeBron on the cusp of history, 36 points from the scoring record. So, yeah, I mean, Knicks, there's definitely a lot to indicate these teams would go over if they were playing another opponent. They've both gone over at a high clip in this situation, like 8 of 10 on the road for the Knicks, 8 of 10 at home for the Magic. But there's such like a mirror image thing in terms of just like not allowing paint points, just being a big team down low. I definitely lean towards the Knicks beyond like diving into the extra numbers, just because this team has been so consistent beating teams below 500 and so consistent losing to teams above 500. I mean, they've been a little bit better lately. And I'm just not as worried about the fact that Orlando has jumped up and bitten teams like Philadelphia, like Boston now 3 times. That's kind of like capitalized on teams that are already struggling, that can't get much going from the perimeter. Like New Orleans, when they were in that funk, held them to 19 in the fourth, then held Boston to 19 in the fourth, as they still are missing Marcus Smart at that point and can't get their offense going. Otherwise, they're allowing 121 their last 4 at home, and that's been a 119 defensive rating. They've been shooting a lot better at home as well, which is why we've been going over. But, I mean, I said both teams are good at denying paint points. The Knicks are the best over the last 2 months, and on the road in January, allowing just 40 paint points, allowing the lowest 2-point rate on the road. So, I mean, Orlando might shoot a little better at home. I mean, the splits are pretty stark, in fact, from a young team, shooting 41% from 3. But I don't really trust any of their guys to have good, night-to-night shooting from deep. And I do trust the Knicks right now that they're hitting 13 threes and nearly 40% their last 5 on the road here. The defense has been awful with Mitchell Robinson out. But, some of that is who they've played. And Orlando is just a team that you can kind of pack it in against. I mean, they met very early in the season, and they let Orlando hoist 35 threes, and they only hit 7. Horrible assist-to-turnover ratio for Orlando, and they just kind of bullied that young front court for a 115-102 win. So I'm not really messing with the total, is all to say. I just trust, the superior talent of the Knicks, of their top 2 guys especially, to just get this done. And move on with a win against one of the lower tier teams, despite their recent, feistiness.
If they've been feisty all season, I think I've talked about them being my second favorite team in the league this year when they're covering certain games, and they've even won a few massive money lines for me. But this is a situation where I would love, I mean, it already got bet down, right? Like I would love to be able to just ride those numbers that we've written down. I'd love to be able to just say, Orlando going at home right now is able to score, and they're just not stopping teams nearly as much with that 117 defensive rating that they've been playing with in their last 4 home games, which is why they've gone over a bunch, and even over against teams that maybe you wouldn't think that a team like the Magic would go over against in their last few games. The Hornets is obviously one you expect. The Timberwolves have been playing faster but better defense. That 76ers game, I think that's a little bit more the back-to-back that they played against the Sixers in Philly, I think is a little bit more reminiscent or like apropos of what we should expect to see against this Knicks team. There is some similarities there between the 76ers and Knicks, although the 76ers have been playing a lot faster and getting the ball out of the net even and going fast with James Harden and company. But at the same time, we all know what their bread and butter is going to be, and it's going to be make sure Joel has at least one touch each time down that he's on the floor. And you can say a very similar type of thing about Jay Randall and Jalen Brunson in terms of the Knicks coming down and playing a similar style as the 76ers. Once they get into that half court, they're happy to let their big man sort of just take some space, draw the defense in, and then find the open guy or some form of pick and roll with Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle as well, which is all very similar to Philly, which is, like I said, I think a lot more reasonable to expect that things in this game are going to go along that way, and that some of the stuff we've seen from the Magic and the Knicks that have caused them to score much more points, I do think a little bit more of it is matchup based, and that once these two teams play each other and just grind this thing down to a snail's pace, it's just really hard for me to see them getting over like 220, man. And this thing opened at like 228.5. It's already been bet down, like we said, to about 226, 225 if you are looking on a few different sites using that odds finder tool we have on thelines.com. You can you can find it if you want to get under still about 226. And I still think that's a reasonable number, but I do agree with you that I feel a little bit better about the Knicks being able to handle things on the road, where they've just been a way better team this year. And I don't want to say way better team overall, but the results speak for themselves in the way that they're sort of coming on the road. They're better at rebounding on the road. They're definitely better in terms of limiting fast break points. They're number 1 in second chance points on the road as well. Like you were talking about dominating the glass and dominating the paint. That's what they've been doing on both sides of the ball. And Orlando, I mean, they're strongest in a lot of the places where the Knicks are going to be able to try to score down low. We've talked about that before as well. If you wanted to look at some props in this game, I think you prefer guards. I think you prefer maybe like Quentin Grimes at like 11.5 points if RJ doesn't play, I'm saying. And then Jalen Brunson, I mean, he and Julius Randle have averaged 30 points a game each in the games that RJ Barrett has not played this season. It's been like 9 games that he's missed, and they just ball the hell out at that point. You wonder if the rest of the team is going to come along with them as well, which is something that we consistently worry about without RJ in there. They do have a few guys on offense that they could be playing a little bit more, like Cam Reddish, but they seem to hate him or hate love him. I'm not really sure. They just don't play him is the point. So we continue to see a lack of wing offense at that point. That's why I do think Quentin Grimes at like 11.5 points is pretty low. But I'm not expecting points nearly as much as this one currently sits at. So it's even scares me to take an over on any of these guys outside of really like RJ and Julius, to be honest, just because we know what they do and RJ's not in there.
Yeah, you mean Jalen and Julius if
yeah.
RJ sits. Yeah, I mean, that's something to really rely on. The Magic's defense against the backcourt has been pretty bad lately because they want to try out Cole Anthony and they want to try out Markelle Fultz more. And Bol, who for some reason I don't think anybody is that really interested in him, is an incredible defensive piece. And early in the season is why they were limiting guards. Jalen, of course, still cooked that team with Bol out there. I don't think it's really a problem for him if there is that extra length. Mo Bamba is out as well tonight for what that's worth. But the point is, yeah, I mean, the Knicks have a true floor general. They have a guy who's going to get their backcourt in good position, whether they have RJ or not. They have that advantage there. And I mean, Paolo at this point kind of hitting the rookie wall. He led the Magic offense in this early meeting against the Knicks. I just don't think they're going to be able to get much done down low or get the same free throw rate they've really relied on here in this last 10-game stretch, nearly 30 free throws a game. The Knicks are just not that type of team to let you parade to the line like that. I mean, they're 11th in January denying free throws, but I think they can be better in this particular matchup, especially with Tibbs emphasizing that as a defensive point.
Yeah, and oddly enough, Mitch Rob not being in there probably means they're not necessarily giving up as many fouls. But what's crazy is that they're still so good against the paint without Mitchell Robinson in there. I would say Jericho Sims has been getting about 18, 19 minutes a game, and he's a guy that I think you can put out there against the Magic as well and expect him to just create some helter, some helter skelter at least, so that it mucks things up and you can keep the Magic off of the offensive glass. I know, like you said, Mo Bamba's not in there, but Wendell Carter Jr. is as well, and I think he'll continue to be a pretty good matchup for Julius Randle. It's going to be volume for Randle tonight. I wouldn't be banking on him. Like we said, it's definitely a better matchup for guards against this Orlando team who has been giving up 3-pointers a lot more. You talk about the Knicks making threes on the road as well. I think that'll be a pretty big deal for them, especially if Grimes is out there, McBride, and Evan Fournier even gets a few minutes. I hate to say it, but at least they're all better deep shooters than RJ is right now. So I think you can expect to be able to get a few more points from deep against this Magic team. And that is all the time we have for you in this one. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along with us. Got a couple other videos up for you today. So until we see you next, happy betting.